Welcome back to Half the Battle. I'm your host, as always, Daniel Levy, and today we're going to be talking about UFC Las Vegas, Petr Yan versus Merab Dvalishvili, and it's going down this Saturday night live at the Theater at Virgin Hotels in Las Vegas, Nevada. You know, interestingly enough, this was initially supposed to be Jamal Hill versus Anthony Smith, but Jamal Hill ends up becoming the undisputed UFC light heavyweight champion. So they had to find a new main event. And quite frankly, they found three main events to replace the Jamal Hill fight. We got, is it Petr Yan or Petr Yan? You know, it's funny. I've been watching this guy's whole career, been high on him this entire time, and I still don't know if it's Petr or Petr. But either way, y'all know exactly who the hell I'm talking about. He's taking on Merab Dvalishvili. Co-main event, we got Alexander Volkov versus Alexander Romanov. Then featured bout is Nikita Krylov versus Ryan Spann. So as far as I'm concerned, we got three main events on this stacked card. I mean, this is a hell of a fight night. So without further ado, let's get down to business. So main event of the evening in the bantamweight division. We got the former champ, Petr Yan. He's 16-4, representing Russia, taking on Merab Dvalishvili, who's 15-4, representing Georgia. No, not my Georgia. The Georgia next to Russia. And currently, they got it Petr Yan minus 250. The comeback on Merab Dvalishvili is plus 210. So I'm going to call him Petr. I'm going to call him Petr. I'm going to call him Yan. I'm going to call him all these things. But bottom line, he's a minus 250 favorite over Merab. Let me see where this shit opened. So it actually opened minus 175 for Petr. So, okay. So obviously all the action's been coming in on the former champ. And a lot of people can make the argument that Yan has never really lost a fight, right? You know, for example, his fight against Magomedov, the controversial split outside the UFC. A lot of people thought that, listen, man, it came down to a foul. It was a bullshit split decision, this and that. People think he won that fight. The first Aljo fight, I mean, I talk about it all the time. When you knock someone out with a knee and they call him the winner, you understand what I'm saying? The Aljo rematch. Now, here's the issue with the Aljo rematch. The issue with the Aljo rematch is that I paid fucking, minus 350, minus 450. I paid something stupid for it, and he definitely didn't cover that price tag. But it comes down to how you score round one, right? Because 2 and 3 obviously go to Aljo, 4 and 5 obviously go to Petr. So how do you score round one, right? Now, I was there in attendance, and I thought that live Petr won the fight. Going back and rewatching it, now I've rewatched it a few times, and I go back and forth on it. But bottom line, it was such a competitive fight that it showed he's still right up there at the top of the division. And then the fight with O'Malley, that one was kind of different. But the O'Malley fight, as far as I'm concerned, stylistically speaking, is irrelevant to this matchup. I mean, we know for a fact that Merab can't strike like Sean O'Malley. We know for a fact that Merab isn't almost 6 feet tall in the bantamweight division like O'Malley. So, what happened in the O'Malley fight is irrelevant, but what's not irrelevant is the mindset. And what I mean by that is this. You heard Petr talking about how I don't want to misquote anybody, and I also don't know if certain things were lost in translation. Dude doesn't speak English, but after after 2 back-to-back fights where he felt like he got robbed, he was talking about how, I'm going to leave the UFC. I'm going to do all these things. So the only reason I bring that up, I know talk is cheap, but the only reason I bring that up is because, are we still dealing with, the highly motivated Petr Yan that, is ready to come out here and win a belt again? From what I can tell, the guy, his nickname is No Mercy for a reason. So as far as I'm concerned, he probably still is waking up at 6 a.m., running in the mountains and doing everything. Actually, he's not running in the mountains. He did this camp in Thailand, but I don't think he's a guy. He doesn't strike me as the kind of guy to skip his pad sessions or to skip his runs or whatever. But just the only reason I'm bringing it up is because, oftentimes when champs lose their belts, it's a very rare occasion for them to come back and win it again. And I'm not talking about a situation like John Jones where, he never truly lost his belt. He relinquished his belt. He got stripped of his belt, but he never lost his belt in a fight. Now, Petr coming off those 2 straight losses, I'm not questioning the man's skills because I think the man's skills is right up there with anybody in the division. Excuse me, right up there with the very top of the division. The only thing I'm questioning is, does Petr still want to be champ? Does Petr still give a shit? Because if he still gives a shit, I mean, the guy is a fucking problem. The guy is a demon out there. And when you talk about his opponent, Merab Dvalishvili, I mean, how long have I been like bringing up this narrative of the guys that can just attempt a million takedowns over and over and over? And you might stuff all the takedowns, but these guys don't get discouraged. I mean, you look at his fight most recently with Jose Aldo. I bet Merab in that spot. And I mean, he went 0 for 16 in takedowns. Wasn't discouraged one bit. You see some other guys, I don't want to bring anybody down, but like, for example, on Contender Series, y'all saw Cody Brundage versus William Knight, right? Like Cody Brundage gets the first takedown. William Knight gets back up, and that mentally broke Cody Brundage. Whereas like a guy like Merab, you can stuff 100 takedowns, and he's going to keep trying. That's why they call him the machine. And I do want to give Merab, a little slack for the Aldo fight. Same way I'm going to give a couple other people on this card slack for certain things. Because that fight was an elevation. It was in Salt Lake City, Utah. And when you're pushing the kind of pace that a dude like Merab pushes in altitude, I mean, doesn't matter how good your cardio is. You're going to slow down. That's just how it goes. So there's a lot to talk about with this fight, man. So if I'm getting the best version of both men, I mean, Petr Yan, his volume, a lot of people criticize his volume, but I think his volume is on point, man. I mean, you watch that fight with Corey Sandhagen, and when was the last time you saw a guy go out there and land, 149 significant strikes against someone of the caliber of Corey Sandhagen, who is known for being like the volume king of the bantamweight division, right? So Petr, the issue with Petr, and against Aldo, he almost landed 200 significant strikes against Aldo. So Petr Yan's volume is actually underrated. People criticize it because he often takes round 1 off to get a read for his opponent, to kind of see what he's doing. He kind of approaches every fight like a championship fight. And what I mean by that is exactly what I just said, which is, that first round might not have the most output, but he's kind of feeling you out a bit. He's kind of trying to see, what your movements are like. He's kind of throwing some feints out at you, seeing how you react. Seeing, are you going to bite on certain things to where later on in the fight, he can capitalize on them. He wants to see what angles you're going to shoot from. And Petr Yan's takedown defense is very, very on point. 90% takedown defense, and it's been tested against some very high-level guys, including the champ, Aljamain Sterling, who he went 2 for 22 on takedowns the last time they fought. 2 for 22. It's just that the 2 times he did take him down, he was able to secure the back of Petr Yan. But to Yan's credit, man, I mean, usually when Aljo gets the back of someone, it's game, set, and match. Like when he took the back of Cody Stamann, he ended up getting that fucking knee bar from the back. When he took the back of Corey Sandhagen, chokes him out right away, right? So what I'm trying to say is that, like, when Aljo backpacks these guys, that's usually the end of the fight. When Aljo took the back of TJ Dillashaw, he pounded him out, injury or not. He pounded out a D1 wrestler, right? So Petr, he wasn't able to escape the back the back takes, but he was able to survive, right? He was able to minimize the damage and not get finished there. So the next couple rounds, obviously every single round starts on the feet, and then he's able to do his thing there. So it's one of those things where I don't think Merab has the best takedowns in the world. I don't think Merab does the best anything in the world except his pace. He's got insane heart, his toughness. He's willing to just push forward through any adversity. So to beat a guy like Merab, you must finish a guy like Merab. And the last time that Merab got finished was actually against Ricky Simón. Now, a lot of people, in my opinion, have a very, I don't want to be disrespectful, but almost have like an ignorant perspective of what truly happened in that Ricky Simón fight. they like to blame it on the ref. They like to blame it on the athletic commission. They like to not take responsibility. But the reality of what happened was, if you go back and you watch round 3 of that that Merab versus Ricky Simon fight, and you really truly pay attention to what happened. So Merab shoots for a takedown against Ricky Simon in round 3, and he actually goes head first into the mat, and he knocks himself out on the takedown attempt. Kind of funny, because this is the same dude that like jumped head first into like into some like ice, thinking that he was gonna go into the water, but it was actually ice, and the dude just jumped head first into some ice. So it was like, bro, what are you doing? So he jumps head first, he dives head first for a takedown, and he actually knocks himself out on that takedown attempt. From there, Ricky Simon was able to sweep him effortlessly, and with that mounted guillotine, I mean, he put Merab to sleep, dude. Like, as soon as the fight was over, Merab couldn't get back up, man. Merab was out, and you know, a lot of people disagree with me, and I'm not trying to be the one that's like, oh, well, I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, therefore I know more than you. But as someone who loves the guillotine, as someone who loves jiu-jitsu, as someone who trains every single day, I saw an unconscious man there. So, to sit here and say that he was robbed of a victory against Ricky Simon, no, he was choked unconscious against Ricky Simon. So he can be finished. Just had to say that. But here against Petr Yan, if you're giving me a Petr that's motivated, that wants to be champ again, I mean, I do think that Petr is going to come out here, and once he finds his range, makes his reads, he's going to get off on some shots against Merab, man. I mean, you saw that Marlon Moraes fight where Marlon Moraes dropped Merab. He was teeing off on him. He was, dropping him all over the place, doing everything he wanted to him. It's just, we know that Marlon Moraes lacks in the cardio department. We know that Marlon Moraes lacks in the chin department, and we know Marlon Moraes lacks in the heart department. These are 3 departments that Petr Yan does not lack in. So basically what I'm trying to say is that if similar situations occur in this fight, there is a good chance that Petr Yan can seal the deal and finish the fight. But my issue with Petr is that sometimes he'll take rounds off, which, again, I said to make his reads, to see what you're doing out there. This guy Merab ain't taking no rounds off. There is no feeling out process when you're fighting a guy like Merab Dvalishvili. He's going to get right in your face from the second the bell rings to the second the fight is over, and he's going to make Petr Yan fight. Now, the thing with Petr is he's never ran away from a fight in his life, so he's going to meet Merab right in the middle, and it's going to be like 2 bulls locking horns. Now, I think Petr Yan is the far superior fighter here. It just comes down to, those outside the cage intangibles. Like, when these champs lose their belts, they don't often come back as motivated. And I mean, lose their belts, like actually losing in a fight, not John Jones, who never truly lost, right? I'm talking about actually losing their belt. And then lost his subsequent fight too, right? And that bitterness of feeling that you got robbed in both those fights, right? That resentment, it's not a very positive attitude. And to take it a step further, I can understand why a plus 210 price tag would be tempting for many on a fighter of the caliber of Merab. Against almost anybody else, I'd be like, holy shit, I'm all over this. But the respect I have for Petr and how high I think his skills are, that's why I kind of don't want any action on this fight. I kind of just want to sit back and watch and see exactly where Petr is, and this is the fight that is going to let me know, like, can Merab be a champion or not, right? I know Merab has the work rate. I know Merab, the work ethic. I know he's got the motivation. I know he's got the drive. I know he's got the heart. Does he have the skills though? Because sometimes it's not about the skill of the man. Sometimes it's about the will of the man. It's just that Petr Yan, as far as I know, he definitely has the skill. And I think as of right now, he still has the will too. So I think Petr should have enough to, neutralize the attacks of Merab. It's just the thing is, like, if Merab is still there, man, like Merab like does not give a shit. Like you can drop this guy, he's still gonna get back up, pin you up against the fence, try to chain takedowns, get those entries going. And even if you can't take him down, it doesn't discourage him. He keeps trying and trying and trying. But don't sleep on the grappling of Yan either, man, to survive those back takes from Aljo and some of the, the foot sweeps that he brings to the table. Even the first Aljo fight, he took down Aljo 7 times in that fight, man. So don't sleep on the grappling of Piotr. And again, I don't put any stock in the O'Malley fight in terms of the skills because Merab can't strike like O'Malley. Merab's not 6 feet tall like O'Malley. Like the only thing I'd put stock into is just me wondering if Piotr still wants this like he once did. And if he does, I think he's good enough to beat Merab. So I'm going to go with Petr Yan here, but I'm not going to bet this fight. And I'm going to sit back and just watch and see exactly where they're at. Like, does Piotr have, one more, title run in him? Like, does he still want to get to the top? And because if there's any kind of doubt whatsoever, if there's any kind of, I'm not feeling it that much, Merab is not the kind of guy you want to fight with an attitude like that. But if Piotr, he put the past behind him, we put the past in the past, fuck the past. Let's just focus on the present and get back to what got us to being a 2-time world champion. As far as I'm concerned, a 1-time world champion, because I never really thought I don't think he lost to Aljo the first time. I mean, like I said, when you knock someone out with a knee and they call him the winner, yeah, and I know someone, that can't read between the lines is going to be like, oh, it was an illegal knee. It's like, yeah, but we saw which way that fight was going, man. We know who won that first fight. Come on, guys. But it's just the disappointment of these last 2 fights where he feels like he won and he got robbed like that, like, for example, Dominic Reyes, right? Like, I'm not comparing Yan to Reyes. All I'm trying to say is this. I just want to give an example. When Reyes was convinced that he beat John Jones, he never let it go. And then his next 3 fights, he gets knocked the fuck out just because, like, he wasn't able to move on. Like, for example, when Robbie Lawler got knocked out by Nick Diaz back in the day, like 5 years later, like, people were still asking him about that. And he was like, I moved on. You should too, right? And then they end up rematching and Robbie wins the rematch, right? And the point I'm trying to make is I wish I could tap into the mindset of Petr Yan and just know, like, hey, have you moved on mentally from the disappointment of, feeling like you got robbed those last 2 fights? And if he has, and if he's all there mentally, the skills are there to beat Merab. So I'm going to go with Petr Yan to come out here and win this fight. No bet. I want to sit back and see how this one plays out, because this is a fight that's going to let us know exactly how far both these guys are going to go in the bantamweight division. So yeah, I'll go with the former champ. And it's funny because big shout out to both of them, man. Like, they both beat the shit out of John Dodson for me. I bet them both there. And it's like Merab only got credited with 2 takedowns, which I thought was the biggest joke I've ever heard, because I thought he took him down like 10 times, man. But some of those, they didn't count as takedowns because Dodson was able to pop back up. But I thought he landed a lot more than 2 takedowns against John Dodson. Just a little side note there. But anyways, co-main event of the evening in the heavyweight division, we got Alexander Volkov. He's 35-10, representing Russia, taking on Alexander Romanov, who's 16-1, representing Moldova. Sorry, guys, I'm tired as fuck. Just had like an intense ass jiu-jitsu class, so got my water, my Pedialyte, still out of breath, but I appreciate y'all. But currently, they got it. Best Fight Odds is doing it again, where their shit's all over the place. Currently, they got it Alexander Romanov -150. The comeback on Alexander Volkov is +125. Now, I understand why people are tempted to take Volkov here, because Romanov let them down against Tybura. Romanov has shown that, the management of his, his pacing, his gas tank management isn't exactly the best. And I understand that. But back to what I was talking about with Merab fighting Aldo in Salt Lake City, Romanov also fought Tybura in Salt Lake City in that altitude. So on one hand, you can bring that up as a factor of why he gassed. But on the other hand, you can also be like, well, damn, I mean, he also gassed against Espino really badly too. Facts. But let me also say that Espino is 100 times the wrestler that Alexander Volkov is. Alexander Volkov can't wrestle. Like, that's just, I mean, let's just get that out the way, man. So, you know, has Alexander Volkov learned how to wrestle, you know, between now and his Aspinall fight, where I bet Aspinall had dog money? I don't think so, but it's not really about that. I think it's more of a thing where it's like Romanov is definitely going to take down Volkov in that first round, and he may even submit him too, right? It's just when the second round, you know, comes through, is it going to be a situation? Because in that last fight with Tybura, you know, I understand the Salt Lake City altitude and all that. That's definitely a cause for concern in terms of why he gassed. But like, dude was playing around, was doing dumb shit, was dancing in the fight, was, you know, it's like he like checked out mentally or something, but was trying to cover it up by dancing and doing all this dumb shit. But here it's like, is it going to be a situation where first round is dominant and then second round he gets the takedown, but Volkov's able to pop back up? Because on the feet, you know, Volkov's a very long guy. Volkov can get off on some volume, and Volkov is a guy that you show Volkov any kind of weakness whatsoever, and he's going to come after you, man. And Volkov's a very tough guy. I mean, he got taken down, 13 times against Curtis Blades. That means that he got back up 13 times against Curtis Blades. So it's admirable. And as the fight progressed, he won the later rounds. The only difference here is that this is not a 5-round fight. This is a 3-round fight. So there's a chance he's down 2 rounds going into the third, and maybe he 10-8s him. Maybe he finishes him in the third. But I'm not writing off the possibility of Romanov just coming out here and submitting Volkov in the first round, because Volkov's weakness has always been his wrestling. I mean, he's extremely tall. He's 6'7", and those tall guys, especially in the center of the cage, like, they're not the best at stuffing takedowns against the cage. That's where you can kind of get that wide base and make it a little bit tougher for you to clasp your hands together. But Romanov is known for these suplexes, and aesthetically, it's very pleasing to watch. But gas tank wise, I mean, that kind of shit is going to drain you, man. So basically, I'm not sure if, you know, Romanov's going to be able to come out here, or Romanov's going to be able to come out here and, you know, get this first round submission, which is live and play, or if it's going to be a dominant first round, then second round's, you know, up in the air, and then third round Volkov wins or possibly gets a finish. So that's where it's kind of, you know, kind of sketch. But the wrestling skills of Romanov are far superior to Volkov. So, I mean, I'm going to go with Alexander Romanov just because I think the wrestling advantage is that big. It's just, you know, you guys know what I'm worried about. I'm worried about after round 1. I'm worried about this guy's cardio. I'm worried about, you know, his style of takedowns is very explosive, and that shit will tax you, especially when you're a big boy. So, someone brought up a good point in the chat about the Word Doom fight, but there was a 4th round in the Word Doom fight. There's no 4th round here. Look, if this is a fight to the death, if this is a 5-round fight, if this is a no time limits fight, you know, as long as Volkov doesn't get submitted early, I think he could take over late. But here, he might get down to a 0-2 start, and it might just be too little too late in that 3rd round. So for that reason, I'm going to go with Alexander Romanov to come out here and either submit or grind out Alexander Volkov. Now, featured bout in technically the heavyweight division, but it's a 215-pound catchweight bout between Nikita Krylov, who's 29-9, taking on Ryan Spann, who's 21-7, and currently they got it. Nikita Krylov -165. The comeback on Ryan Spann's +140. So I already broke this fight down, you know, like 2 weeks ago when they were originally supposed to fight. Only difference was that, you know, that was a 5-round fight. That was a main event. Another difference being that, you know, these guys do have to cut weight twice. Now, not as much weight. You know, they get, you know, a 10-pound allowance here. 205 to what was it, 215? Yeah, to 215. So, you know, 10 extra pounds. But these are still big boys. They're still going to be cutting a little bit of weight. And then I guess my other question would be, did Nikita, fly back overseas and then come back to the States, or has he been in the States the entire time? And the reason why that's kind of an important detail to me is because, like, you already had to fight off the jet lag the first time. Now you're going to do it again and cut weight. So I just don't know. If someone knows, like, has Nikita stayed in the States this entire time, or did he fly back and then fly back overseas and then come back here for this? So I don't know. Bottom line, these guys are two very, very potent finishers. Like I told y'all last time I broke down this fight, Nikita Krylov, 29 wins, 27 of them are finishes. Ryan Spann, 21 wins, 18 of them are finishes. So it's, I don't want to say it's safe to say that someone's going to get finished here. Let me see what the fight doesn't go the distance is. Fight doesn't go to decision is, minus 500. It was actually more when they originally supposed to fight, but then again, it was a 5-round fight the original time. So my thing with Spann, I think he's super talented. I think he's super athletic. It's just always kind of been like a mental thing with him. And this whole, this is the first time I truly started training for a fight. Guys, talk is cheap. And if you're gullible enough to believe that, then you probably also believe that Max Holloway did a champ camp over a Zoom call, the second Volkanovski fight. Like, guys, talk is cheap. Kind of like Cyril Gane saying that he only trains when he has a fight coming up. Yeah, I know it appeared that way when he fought John Jones, but that's more so because, they don't know how to grapple over there in France. That wasn't because this guy doesn't train. I mean, look at the shape he's in. He definitely trains. So with Spann, you guys know about his nasty guillotine. You guys know about his fast hands, his one-punch knockout power. The issue I've had with Spann is that you guys know he's been knocked out 3 times the exact same way. Like, literally, the exact same way. So all his knockout losses are he's shooting a takedown on someone, and they Travis Brown elbow him on the ear, on the temple, and they knock him out. And this happened on his regional scene. This happened on Contender Series against Karl Roberson, and this happened against Johnny Walker as well. So he's literally been knocked out 3 times the exact same way, which is pretty unheard of. And I remember in that Johnny Walker fight, when he got into that position, the position he loves to get knocked out in, I remember Coach Safe, he immediately recognized it, and he's like, get out of there, because he knew what was about to happen. So if Ryan wants to shoot a sloppy takedown on Nikita, get ready for Nikita to Travis Brown elbow this man unconscious. But on the flip side of things, Nikita has been submitted multiple times, and if he shoots for some kind of sloppy takedown on Spann, don't discount the possibility of a Spann, guillotine here, man. Like real talk. So on the feet, either of them could get knocked out. I think the early going kind of goes to Spann a little bit. Nikita is a little bit wild, early on. And, with his Kyokushin background, I really love how he flows his punches to his kicks. He does this thing called the windmill, which it's a lot of same side shots. He'll throw the right hand to disguise the right kick. He'll throw the left hand to disguise the left kick. So it's some very beautiful stuff. I think the longer the fight goes, it favors Nikita Krylov, but early on, either guy is live for a finish. But my pick will be Nikita Krylov. And if you guys want a more in-depth breakdown on that fight, these two were supposed to fight 2 weeks ago, and I posted like a fucking 20-minute breakdown on it, so y'all can check that out. But I'll go Nikita for the win. Now, next up in the featherweight division, we got a matchup between Ricardo Ramos. He's 16-4, taking on Austin Lingo, who is 9-1. Currently, they got it. Ricardo Ramos minus 350. The comeback on Austin Lingo plus 260. I think it's about right. Listen, Ricardo Ramos is a special talent. It's just Ricardo Ramos. I mean, you guys got to understand, he's just a kid. I know he's a young vet at this point. He's had 20 pro fights, but he was born in 1995. He's just a kid, right? And he's one of these guys that I've said for a long time, when he finally gets it together, look the fuck out. Because, I mean, some of these performances that he has, like, he really, really impresses. Whether it's his ability to take the back, whether it's some of his spinning back elbow or spinning back fist knockouts, whether it's landing 8 takedowns on Bill Algeo. Like, he's had these glimpses where it's been like, yo, like if this kid can, if the mental can catch up with the physical, Ramos could potentially be a future top 15 guy one day. And with Lingo, trains out of Fortis MMA. I've always been a fan of Lingo because he's just an exciting banger. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like a Mana Martinez, where like in his regional scene was just like one punch knocking everybody out. And we're still kind of waiting for that one punch knockout to happen in the UFC. Just needs to start feeling a bit more comfortable inside the UFC's octagon, but he can crack. It's just he is a little bit too basic for Ricardo Ramos. Ricardo is definitely going to be the more just unique, unorthodox, more athletic, more gifted guy. But sometimes Ramos, will do a little bit too much, will fatigue. Sometimes if things don't go his way, he might check out a little bit mentally. And if that's the case here, maybe Austin can take over late, or maybe Austin can land a bomb. But besides that, man, I do think that the mental is starting to catch up with the physical with Ricardo, man. And Ricardo should style on him here. Not necessarily sure it's going to be a finish, but I think that, I understand the odds here. So, yeah, I'm going to go Ricardo Ramos to win this fight. Now, this one I'm really pumped for. In the bantamweight division, we got a matchup between Said Nurmagomedov, he's 17-2, taking on Jonathan Martinez, who is 17-4. Currently, they got it Said Nurmagomedov minus 255. The comeback on Jonathan Martinez is plus 215. So I've heard a lot of misconceptions about this fight. Normally I don't really listen to anybody, because not that anybody can truly influence how I feel. But I was just curious. I'm on Twitter sometimes and I read some things, and people are saying that Said's gonna have this massive grappling advantage in this fight and this and that. And I think that that's almost like a stereotypical thing to say, that just because his name is Nurmagomedov, therefore the guy's going to come out here and just put on some grappling clinic. But let me ask y'all something. So Said Nurmagomedov's had 7 UFC fights. How many takedowns has Said Nurmagomedov landed in 7 UFC fights? The correct answer is 2 takedowns in 7 UFC fights. Reason being, it's not because this guy's not a good grappler. He is a good grappler. I mean, look at that fucking disgusting guillotine he hit on Said Yakub. Look at that disgusting guillotine he hit on Cody Stamann. It's not because he's a bad grappler, or it's because this guy has a different style than the other Nurmagomedovs. Said is an explosive striker. Said's style is a lot of spins, a lot of flash. You shoot a sloppy takedown on him because you can't take what he brings to the table standing. That's when he can snatch up, whether it's a high elbow guillotine, whether it's a power guillotine, kind of those long man guillotines. So it's more of a counter attack to the grappling, when he gets those submissions. So people saying, oh, he's got such a big grappling edge in this fight. Like, guys, Said doesn't wrestle. Said's a striker. Just like, don't let the last name fool you. And the thing is, his opponent Jonathan Martinez is also a striker. So these two are going to come out here and they're going to bang it out. And I think the differences in their styles are this. I think that Said Nurmagomedov is the more explosive guy. I think he's the more flashy guy. But I think that Jonathan Martinez kind of is the more consistent guy and has the better volume. But then the negatives, I think that Said, his gas tank isn't as good as Jonathan's. Jonathan training in Denver Elevation. We've seen Said slow down in multiple fights. And with Jonathan, his cardio is on point, but his chin, he's not the chinniest, but he has been knocked down and he has been knocked out in multiple fights, whether it was knocked down twice against Andre Sukumtut. Now, that was a long ass time ago. I think it was like 21 when that fight happened, but still, knocked down and knocked out against Davey Grant and knockdown against Alejandro Perez. So that's the downfall with Martinez, is that, you know, he is susceptible to that knockout punch, to being dropped. Chin isn't the best. But with Saeed, what he's susceptible to is a serious pace. This guy will slow down as fights progress, and his output is not the highest. He's more of a guy that, you know, it's flash and explosion, not much, you know, picking people apart. Whereas Jonathan Martinez is that guy that's going to slowly chip away at you, right? Because, I mean, if you want to think about it, the most strikes that Saeed's ever landed in a fight was actually back in 2018 in his UFC debut against Justin Scoggins, which was down at flyweight. But since then, the most strikes he's ever landed in a fight was in his loss to Ione, which was 55 strikes. Whereas you're looking at a guy like Martinez, you know, who has gone out there and landed 92 strikes in the fight before. He's gone out there 74, 88, you know, has put up numbers. So, it really, so basically what I'm trying to say is, like, if neither guy is getting finished, I actually do think that Jonathan Martinez can be up on the volume and can pull away, you know, like that, you know, just put up better numbers, chop him down with kicks. Jonathan Martinez has a nasty check knee. I mean, he's got a couple knockouts in the UFC with that check knee, against Ping Wan Liu, against Frankie Saenz, against Cub Swanson. He dropped him with that knee. His check knee is absolutely disgusting. And with Saeed, it's all about the spins. And like I said, if he rocks you and you shoot a sloppy shot on a guy like Saeed, he will snatch up that long man guillotine. So I see it being a close fight. And I think that the reason the price is where it currently is because of this man's last name. Because people think that he's, you know, a dominant wrestler, but that's not how Saeed fights. Saeed is a flashy, explosive striker. So at plus 215 on Jonathan Martinez, I'd probably be willing to take a 1-unit shot, you know, against Jonathan Martinez, against almost any striker in that division, because I just do think his striking is that good. I do think he's paid his dues, and I do think he's starting to feel a lot more comfortable inside the octagon, to where now he is going to be able to compete, you know, against the guys in the top 15. So big respect for both guys. I think they're phenomenal. I think Saeed is live for a finish, of course. You know, he is that dangerous, but I think as the fight progresses, that's where I think Jonathan Martinez, if he's still there, right? That's the big if he's still there, that's where I think he can kind of chip away. And that's where I think Saeed's going to kind of slow down a bit. And that's where I think Jonathan Martinez can actually run away with this decision. So at plus 215 odds on Jonathan Martinez against another striker, I feel inclined to at least take a 1-unit shot and see what happens. And that's not any disrespect to Saeed. I like him a lot too. It's just stylistically speaking, I like my chances on Jonathan Martinez at these odds against another striker. So you guys got to stop this bullshit narrative about Saeed being, you know, this stud wrestler just because his last name's Nurmagomedov, because that's categorically false. And it is what it is. So yeah, I just see I just personally line it a lot closer. So for that reason, I have to take the plus 215 on Martinez for to risk 1 unit. Now, next up in the light heavyweight division, and y'all do me a huge favor, man. Smash that like button for me. And if you're not already subscribed, please subscribe, and I appreciate it. Now, next up in the light heavyweight division, we got a matchup between Vitor Petrino. He's 7-0, taking on Anton, the Pleasure Man, Turkalj. He's 8-1. And currently, they got it a dead pick'em. Vitor Petrino, minus 110. Anton, the Pleasure King, Turkalj, minus 110. Yeah, so basically the way I see this fight is like Vitor Petrino kind of reminds me of, like, you know, kind of like a green Paulo Costa. You know what I'm saying? Like the guy, you know, he's built like Paulo Costa. He swings bombs like Paulo Costa. He's going to go right after you like Paulo Costa. And he'll also gas out like Paulo Costa. So I kind of just see this being, you know, him having that kind of style. I think physically speaking, he's far superior to Anton, and on the feet, it might actually be a mismatch. the thing is this: Anton, even though he's kind of a walking punching bag, even though he's kind of goofy, which I'm gonna call someone else goofy in this next fight, this dude Lukasz Brezki. But Anton, he's kind of goofy, but like he is tough as fuck. He is extremely tough. I got to give him credit, man. Like it might not look the prettiest, it might look awkward, it might be like he might not be very athletic, but like the dude can take a punch, the dude can overcome adversity. And like if Vitor can't get him out of there and Vitor starts to huff and puff and Anton gets on top of him, Anton is a very long guy. He's 6'4". He's got good ground and pound. He's good at taking the back. So those are the things I'm worried about, right? But on the feet, man, Vitor is going to light up the pleasure, man. I'm telling you right now, Vitor is going to light this man up. Big punches, big kicks. His initial takedown defense is good, and I've seen him get back up to his feet, and I've seen him defend submissions. So as far as I can tell, that part of his game is improving. It's just with his style, with his muscles, Vitor's a gasser. Just to put it lightly, Vitor's a gasser. But Vitor's a very dangerous gasser. He's a bruiser. Like I said, just think about a green Paulo Costa. That's kind of what I'm thinking about here. A 205 Paulo Costa making his debut. Someone said it's Victor, not Vitor. No, buddy, it's Vitor actually. But he's Brazilian too. His name's Vitor. But yeah, Vitor, he's just explosive. Like I said, hits hard, built like a Greek god. He's going to land some devastating shots. I think he's going to get a lot of knockouts in the UFC. And on the feet, he's going to put it on Anton. My concern, like I said, Anton has a very good chin. Anton is mentally tough. And if Anton can survive this early storm and get on top of Vitor, that's where I'm concerned. But basically what I'm saying is it would kind of have to be like a comeback for Anton to win this fight, which is possible. I mean, you can get a comeback on a gasser, but I think that Vitor Petrino can come out here and also possibly knock out Anton. So it's a pick'em fight. It's 50-50. So I'm gonna go with Vitor because I slightly line Vitor more towards -150. 60%. I think he wins 6 out of 10 times, right? But there are there are those concerns about him gassing out and Anton taking over late. So you just can't discount that possibility. But the athleticism and physicality difference is huge. The striking difference is huge. But then on the other side, the gas tank difference is huge too. So I see why they line it a pick 'em, but my pick is going to be Vitor to kind of rough up Anton and possibly knock out the pleasure man. So I'll go Vitor Petrino. Now, next up in the heavyweight division, we got a matchup between, is it heavyweight or light heavyweight? Because I know Karl Williams' last fight was at heavyweight, but I thought that Dana said, I'm going to give you a chance to get a full camp and come back at your normal weight class and all this. But either way, Tapology says heavyweight. So Lukasz Brezki, he's 8-2, taking on Karl Williams, who's 7-1. What's this flag they got on my boy? Oh, Virgin Islands. That's what's up. Yeah, because I know Karl Williams is from here in Atlanta. Currently, they got it. Karl Williams -235. The comeback on Lukasz Brezki is +200. So y'all want to know something funny? Y'all know how like I hype up my fighters from my scene, my ATL fighters, my Robert Hales, my Jared Goodens, my Cody Durdens. And shout out to Jared Gooden back in the UFC making his return for this card. You love to see it. Dude's been working his ass off. But Karl Williams was a guy who, I called his amateur fights in the NFC back when I was doing commentary for them. And I'm going to be 100% frank with y'all. I pride myself on my ability to scout talent and to, see like, and to just like predict like how far certain fighters are going to go. Kind of like you already know how I predicted a long time ago that Jamal Hill was going to be champ. I predicted Bilal Muhammad was going to make it to the top 5. Cheeto Vera too, all these guys. So I pride myself on my ability to scout talent. I told y'all a long time ago, Cody Durden and Jared Gooden were both going to make it to the UFC from my regional scene. I'm telling you, Robert Hale will make it to the UFC from my regional scene. Karl Williams, though, when I called his amateur fights cage side, the thought of him ever making it to the UFC, that wasn't even a thought that crossed my mind. Like I was never like, oh yeah, this guy's gonna be in the UFC one day. Like I never. I just thought he was just some random amateur fighter. Okay, whatever. These fights are boring. Next, like it never crossed my mind. So when I saw my contenders, I was like, damn, what's Karl been up to, man? And then I looked, and Karl's been putting in work, and Karl is massively improved from his amateur days, man. And to turn things around like that, Big Bird, calm down, bro. To turn things around like that, and there's some other guys y'all got to keep your eyes out for. I'm gonna name them right now: Amun Kozme and Malcolm Wellmaker. Those are two bantamweight prospects from Atlanta that are 100%, I think, unless they just get injured or something, they're gonna make it to the UFC. I can just tell y'all they're super talents. But Karl, I was never like, I just thought he was just okay, whatever. I didn't even think he was gonna go pro. So the fact that this guy, has come this far and has turned things around like that, and I say turn things around, it's not like he was out here losing fights. I just thought he was just some average, unspectacular fighter. And dude, like what I see now is the wrestling, the pace that he pushes, his toughness, and the guy that he out-grappled on Contender Series on short notice had some wrestling credentials, man, and like far better wrestling credentials than Karl did. And Karl put it on him, man. And yeah, shout out to Karl, man, because like you love to see like someone just like, level up to that point where now they're in the big show, and now he's a minus 250 favorite in the big show. So shout out to you, Karl, man. I was wrong about you this entire time. Like I never picked against you, Karl. I just never thought you were going to make it. Like the thought of you making it to the UFC never crossed my mind. So the fact that you did, bro, way to represent Atlanta. Much love. And his opponent, Lukasz Brezki, look, he's kind of goofy, but he's a tough kid, man. He's got good output. That's basically what I can say about him. He's a tough kid. And you know what's funny is that a lot of people thought that, Lukasz Brezki got robbed his last fight against Martin Boudet. But what's interesting is the fight right before that on the card was Nina Nunes versus Cynthia Calvillo. And I literally fell asleep during the Nina Nunes versus Cynthia Calvillo fight. And then I woke up right after the Martin Boudet and Lukasz Brezki fight. So I just saw everyone on Twitter talking about how it was this massive robbery. So a lot of people think that Lukasz Brezki got the short end of the stick on his UFC debut. I was asleep thanks to Cynthia Calvillo and Nina Nunes. But yeah, I mean, listen, if Karl can't get takedowns, Lukasz has better volume on the feet. If Karl gasses out, Lukasz can probably put it on him. It's just that I do think Karl's going to get those takedowns. I do think Karl's going to grind him out, and I don't think Karl's going to be gassing out. And now with a full camp, I think we're going to see a big step in the right direction from ATL's own. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Karl Williams here. Probably unanimous decision, man, just get the wrestling going like you always do, and you know what to do, my man. So, yeah, I'm going to go Karl Williams to get this one done. And next up, we got another ATL boy. Next up in the bantamweight division, we got an ATL legend, Raphael Assuncao. He's 27-9, taking on dangerous Davey Grant, who is 12-6. Currently, they got it. My boy Nick Diller said, "Homie is in the back, knocked out on the couch." Yeah, that's my boy. That's my boy Oscar right there. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to join me on the pod, man. He's out for the count. He was pulling a stunt earlier, man. He was trying to. So I have like a little lake behind my house, and the thing with German Shepherds is like, so with some dogs, if you just open your front door, they'll just take off running. German Shepherds aren't like that. They have loyalty, right? They're not going anywhere unless you're going anywhere. But I take my dog to my backyard and I throw the stick, and sometimes he likes to challenge me. and he likes to run down to the lake, but he doesn't just run full sprint. He likes to run, and then he likes to check to see if I'm following him, because he only wants to go if I'm going. Like, the intelligence of the German Shepherd is just something else. I'm just obsessed with those dogs. But anyways, currently they got it. Davey Grant -140. The comeback on Raphael Assuncao is +115. Let me just tell you all this right now. If this fight was a couple of years ago or whatever, not only would Raphael be a much bigger favorite, but like it would be like a max bet on Raphael at +115 odds against Davey Grant, because basically it's like Raphael is a former top 5 guy. I mean, Raphael even got the title shot against Dominic Cruz, but I think he had to pull out due to injury, which sucks because now he's never going to get a title shot. But they tried to give it to him. He just couldn't take it because of injury. But Raphael, like, he's got like wins over like the entire top 15. At one point he did. Has a win over the champion, Aljamain Sterling. Has a win over the former champion, TJ Dillashaw. Has a win over Marlon Moraes, who at the time was the fucking man. Has a win over Rob Font, who at the time was the man. Like, so has a win over Pedro Munoz. Like, Raphael, like, in his time, man, he beat the entire top 15 at one point. So Raphael is a guy that someone said, I can't believe you're from Atlanta. I would have guessed New York and New Jersey. Do I have a New York and New Jersey accent or something? But I guess I'll take it as a compliment. But nah, I'm a Southern boy. But Raphael Assuncao, but I'm first generation American. Like, my parents aren't American, so that's probably, why it's a little confusing. But yeah. So anyways, what I was saying was Raphael Assuncao, these odds against Davey Grant a couple of years ago would have been like a 10-unit play. Like, there was no world at one point where Raphael Assuncao would be an underdog to Davey Grant in any situation whatsoever. But Davey Grant, it seems like he almost got like a second win on his career a little bit, in some of these last few fights, because, he's just a solid journeyman. That's kind of what I think from Grant, man. You know what I mean? Like, he's one of these guys where, after, those 2 finished losses in a row to Stasiak and Bermudez, he took over a year off. Then he comes back, gets that 3-fight win streak, and, knocks out Jonathan Martinez. Now, I do have to say, in the back-to-back knockout wins over Martin Day and Jonathan Martinez, he also got dropped in both those fights, but he was subsequently able to get comeback knockouts, which was cool. Then he had the war with Marlon Vera where, he showed a lot of heart, but if you saw his face, I mean, Marlon beat the shit out of him. And funnily enough, back in the day, Davey actually beat Marlon back, what was the year? In 2016. So, and then he had that good fight with Adrian Yanez. I'm not sure how it was a split, but, look, if you're going to stand in the pocket with Davey Grant, he throws these haymakers from these very awkward angles and also has a nasty calf kick game. And like, if you want to stand in the pocket with a guy like Davey Grant, then there is a chance he can catch you. Like they call him Dangerous Davey for a reason. So in the pocket, that's where I'd be worried for Raphael Assuncao. The thing is, Raphael Assuncao doesn't fight in the pocket with people. Raphael Assuncao is an expert counter fighter. Like, it might not be the most exciting style, but he's very intelligent and he's very good at slowing the pace down of these fights and getting you to fight his fight. And he's been doing that for years. Now, I know that now, Raphael is 40 years old and, he's going to turn 41 this year. And, he's fallen on some hard times, lost to Cody Garbrandt, which is a big red flag. But, that Victor Henry fight was a step in the right direction. We'll talk about Victor Henry in a sec, but Victor Henry, his fight prior against Raoni Barcelos, like, broke records with the numbers he was throwing, man. And, against Raphael, like, the numbers went down significantly. Like, basically, let's put it this way. In the Victor Henry versus Raphael Assuncao fight, Victor Henry landed as much in the entire fight of the Raphael Assuncao fight as he did in the individual rounds of the Raoni Barcelos fight. So that's credit to Raphael's ability to get people to fight at his own pace and he's so good at counter fighting. So like, yeah, Big Bird made a very good example. Assuncao is a top tier volume suppressor. That's a very good way to put it. So it's one of those things where it's like, if Raphael wants to fight uncharacteristic and bang in the pocket with Davey, well, then Davey's live to knock him out. But if Raphael can slow this down, switch his stance, strictly be on the counter, fake the entries to the feint the takedowns, go up top. I think he's a much more educated fighter than Davey Grant. I think he's beat a way higher level of competition than Davey Grant. I mean, he's beat he beat the entire top 15 at one point, including the current champ. It's just the things you gotta be concerned about is that Raphael's 40 years old, right? But it's not like Davey Grant is some spring chicken, guys. Like, isn't Davey Grant up there too? Like, Davey Grant is 37 years old. Davey Grant turns 38 this year. So Davey Grant is not some young prospect or anything like that. So this fight comes down to approach, but historically speaking, Raphael Assuncao beats Davey Grant. And if this fight was a year or two ago, these odds would not only be flipped, but Raphael would be like a -2 something favorite. So I'm gonna go with Raphael to get this one done, man. You do have to worry about those, just like the haymakers that Davey, like I said, he throws them from such weird angles that like, and they're clubbing shots, man. That Rafa's got to be on top of shit, man, because Davey's dangerous. That's his nickname. But I think Raphael is the more well-rounded fighter. I think he's fought and beat the higher level of competition. Just worried about the current form. That's why I can't have too much conviction in it. But I'm going to take the better fighter here. I'm going to take Assuncao via decision. Now, next up in the middleweight division, we got a matchup between Sedriques Dumas. I thought it was Dumas, but when I heard his Contender Series interview, he said Dumas. So I think the S might be silent. Correct me if I'm wrong. But anyway, Sedriques Dumas. He's 7-0, taking on Josh Fremd, who is 9-4. Currently, they got it. Sedriques Dumas -210. The comeback on Josh Fremd is +180. So this seems to be a fight where a lot of people have a lot of strong opinions. And I've heard some absolutely absurd takes regarding this fight. Let me tell you about them. So I heard people comparing Sedriques Dumas to Jamal Hill, which, let's take a moment of silence for that absolute absurdity of a comparison. Like, I'm the guy that discovered Jamal Hill. I'm the guy that said Jamal Hill was going to be a future world champion. Like, in what world does Sedriques Dumas fight anything like Jamal Hill? Jamal Hill is a southpaw. Sedriques Dumas is orthodox. Jamal Hill has like record-breaking output with his hands, like the output of little guys, better output than little guys. Sedriques Dumas isn't really a guy that lets his hands go that much. He's more of a kicker. And he's a very dangerous kicker. The thing about Sedriques Dumas, he's got a nasty calf kick game. And Sedriques, like, man, the way he can chop down your calf and then go upstairs with head kicks, his kicking game is on point. And that might be a big weapon for him here because Josh Fremd, another tall, 6'4" guy, skinny ass legs, doesn't check leg kicks. I'm worried about the calf kicks from Sedriques Dumas. And one thing I got to give Dumas a lot of credit for is that in his only loss as an amateur, his only loss that I know of, because in his pro debut, the commentator said that Sedriques Dumas was knocked out in devastating fashion as an amateur, but I don't have any evidence of that. If any of y'all know anything about that, let me know. But I think that might be false. The only loss I saw as an amateur in 2020 was when he got out wrestled by that one guy. But since then, he's actually implemented a lot of wrestling in his game, and it's a lot of upper body takedowns, kind of like a Greco-Roman style. And he's been able to, take these guys down, dominate them on the mat, and his cardio seems pretty good as well. So I actually do think that Dumas, you know, got signed to the UFC at the right time. And, you know, I'm not touting him like other people. Like to compare him to Jamal Hill is absurd. Because I was thinking Jamal is like a once in a lifetime guy. Like y'all can see that he's the fucking champ now. Sedriques, I just think, you know, just a solid prospect, whatever. Like, but Josh Fremd, man, I've been watching Josh Fremd's regional scene. I saw him on the regional scene for a long time, and I was waiting for him to get that UFC call, man. I mean, just like Sedriques Dumas was knocking dudes out with head kicks, was chopping dudes down with calf kicks, like ground and pound. Like Josh Fremd was out here sleeping people as well on his regional scene. And he was fighting way better guys. Like he was in there with like RoboCop on his regional scene. He was in there with a Bruno Oliveira, knocked him out. Like, so Josh Fremd was in there with some real guys. And to make your UFC debut on short notice against Anthony Fluffy, like Fluffy is about to go far in this division, man. And I thought that Josh Fremd performed admirably in that fight. And then the next fight against Trayshawn, you know, who's another ATL guy, you know, I actually bet on Josh Fremd in that fight. And I liked how things were going. You know, he doubled him up on strikes, just like I thought he was going to. Then he shot for, you know, an ill-advised takedown and got caught with a very, very rare guillotine that I don't think we've ever seen a guillotine like that before. And I see all these people talking about, well, Josh just lost by guillotine and Sedriques just won by guillotine. Therefore, the writing's on the wall. Therefore, it's a foregone conclusion that Sedriques Dumas is just going to come out here and guillotine Josh Fremd. Like, hey, just put your whole bankroll on it. Like that's what's going to happen here. And I just think it's like, guys, like, shut your fucking mouth. Like, please, like, listen, there's certain things that you can learn from in the gym and correct from mistakes, such as, you know, head placement on a takedown. Like that guillotine you got caught with, like that's something you go back to the gym and you fix. Yeah, you know, your head placement on your takedown so it doesn't happen again. It's not like we're talking about things like getting dropped by jabs. That those are things where it's like you don't fix your chin, you know, and stuff like that. So basically, I see this being the best guy that Sedriques Dumas has ever fought. And does that mean that by default Dumas is going to lose this fight? No. I think that Josh Fremd, you know, has holes of his own as well. It's just that in a fight like this, which is, you know, kind of two prospects, kind of two green prospects that are figuring things out, I don't see Sedriques Dumas, you know, being minus 210, being minus 220. Now, I could be wrong. Like I told you all earlier, I pride myself on my ability to scout talent. And I just kind of thought Sedriques Dumas was, you know, just, yeah, whatever. Just another, just, you know, let's see what he does. I'm not out here, you know, claiming anything, but I already see people stamping their flag saying future top 15, future top 10, future this, future that. Just show me, you know, show me. So this is a show me spot. And I think Fremd is being a little disrespected here. So for that reason, I'm considering that 1 unit shot at plus 180 here. My biggest concern is this, the calf kicks. Josh Fremd, 6'4", you know, it's cool being tall like that, but, you know, it comes at a price, and the price is those skinny fucking legs, and Dumas has a very heavy kicking game. So I am worried about Josh Fremd, you know, getting immobilized with those calf kicks, but I think Josh Fremd has better hands than Sedriques Dumas. And then on the ground, Sedriques has gotten a lot better with that body lock game, taking people down. But, you know, Josh Fremd is a former D3 wrestler and, you know, survived all the bad spots with Anthony Fluffy, even got top position of his own. So my inkling is that if he does get taken down, I think he can scramble back up to his feet, where I do think he has better hands than Sedriques Dumas. So to compare Dumas to Jamal Hill, like, can you just tell me one fight where Sedriques Dumas' hands or output or volume represented anything remotely close to Jamal Hill? You can't, because it doesn't. I mean, I watched the guy's entire career. Like, he's a heavy kicker and he's got a body lock game. And he had a nice power guillotine on Contender Series too. But this whole, well, Josh just got caught with a guillotine and Dumas just won via guillotine. Therefore, that's what's gonna like. I don't think it works like that, and I'm ready to be proven wrong. If Dumas comes out here and guillotines Fremd, y'all can clip this and make me look like an idiot or whatever. But the bottom line is that when it comes to betting, it's all about the number, and I just didn't get to minus 220 Dumas. You know, the opening line was minus 150 Dumas. Okay, that I can accept, right? You know, maybe he's the more physical, maybe he's a little bit more athletic, maybe you think he's a little more talented. I can get behind the minus 150 Dumas, but minus 220, I think is slightly disrespectful. And again, that fight with Fremd and Tresean, you know, people are too caught up on the end result rather than what was happening in that fight prior to the result. And in addition to that, what kinds of adjustments Fremd can make, because, you know, not leaving your head on the outside on a takedown is something you can easily fix in the gym. Like I said, it's not like he's out here getting rocked by jabs. You can't fix a chin, but you can fix your positioning on takedown entries. You don't even have to shoot takedowns, you know? So bottom line is, I'm not saying Fremd's going to win this fight, but I'm saying at plus 180, I'm interested in taking that 1 unit shot and you know, show me if Dumas is this guy, show me, and I'm willing to learn if he is. But as of right now, I just see this being two green prospects, this being a prospect showdown, and I see it being closer than minus 220 and plus 180. So for that reason, I got to go with Josh Fremd here at plus 180. You know, I'm not saying max bet season. I'm not going out on my shield. I'm not, you know, being arrogant. I'm not disrespecting either side. And I also don't give a fuck about Sedriques Dumas outside the cage shit that has zero impact. And I actually kind of felt bad that I shared that thing I saw on Facebook about him charging 100 for the interview, because when I heard him talk about it, it actually made sense, because the guy that was coming at him was a total dumbass. So dumbass Dumas, yeah. So I actually kind of felt bad about that, because I'm not the kind of guy to build myself up by putting people down. So that post, like, if y'all know which one I'm referring to, like, blew up more than I expected it to, and I felt bad about that. But that being said, put all that bullshit aside, I like the number on Fremd, so I'm willing to take a 1 unit shot at plus 180 to see you know, if he can get his first UFC win. So let's see. Now, next up in the bantamweight division, we got a matchup between Mario Bautista. He's 11-2, taking on Argentina's Guido Cannetti, who is 10-6. Y'all smash that like button, please. Currently, they got it Mario Bautista minus 1,100. The comeback on Guido Cannetti is plus 650. So, you know, I hear everyone talking about how, you know, it's this foregone conclusion. What you doing, Oscar? It's this foregone conclusion that Mario is going to finish him in the first round. And I think that there's a very good chance that Mario does finish him in the first round. It's just that, like, y'all know Mario didn't finish Jay Perrin in the first round, right? That's a bum. Y'all know that Mario lost to Trevin Jones. The only reason I'm talking these terms, it's not to disrespect Mario, because I think Mario is great. I cashed on Mario against Benito that last fight. I love Mario. I bet on Mario against Trevin Jones. It's just more so to point out that when we're talking minus 1,100, like, I need assurances, man. And I don't have many, but what I do have is that Guido Cannetti, he comes out hard that first round. He comes out hard every time in the first round, but he tends to slow down as fights progress. So I think Guido is first round or bust in this fight. Guido's dangerous early, and, you know, those last two fights, like, it was pretty cool to see Guido come out here and, you know, get 2 first round finishes, you know, at such an advanced age of 43 years old. God damn, bro. Like, respect, my boy, respect, you know. It's crazy that he's in better form now at 43 than he was in, you know, when he was, I wanted to say 23, but the thing is, he hasn't been in the UFC 20 years. He came into the UFC a little bit later, but I'm just trying to say that I didn't expect this. Look, Guido Cannetti on a 2-fight win streak in his 40s with 2 first-round finishes was not on my bingo card. So credit to him, man. But bottom line, I think Mario Bautista, you know, he could get a first round finish, but I think he, might kind of feel him out a bit the first round. But Guido loves to slow down as fights progress. And that's where Mario Bautista, you slow down against a guy like Bautista, and he is going to put it on you in a way where, whether it's on the feet with the volume, whether it's taking you down, his submission game is on point. He's well-rounded. He's nasty. I like everything about Mario Bautista. So, yeah, he's going to win this fight. He's in a minus 1,100 favorite. It's just we're trying to figure out, like, is it the first round? Is it, does he kind of let Guido, empty out his tank, and then you get him out of there in the second or the third? So, yeah. Or is it going to be like when you had harmless Jay Perrin in front of him and you just beat his ass for 3 rounds? You didn't get, dude, if Mario wanted to, he could have got Jay Perrin out of there in the first round. He just beat the shit out of him for 3 rounds. So I don't know the method, but I think I know the winner. And it's, you got to go with the minus 1,100 favorite in the spot in terms of just picking, in terms of a pure pick. So Mario Bautista is my pick. Now, next up in the flyweight division, we got a matchup between JJ Aldrich. She's 11-5, taking on the Queen of Fraudulence. Now, I saw some other people ripping off that nickname, but again, a lot of these have to battle terms, whether it's vet lesson, whether it's tour of the octagon, whether it's stand and bang until one man falls. Queen of Fraudulence. These terms were invented here, so don't let anyone fool you. But anyways, we got JJ Aldrich, who's 11-5, taking on Arianne, the Queen of Fraudulence, Lipski, who's 14-8. Currently, they got it. JJ Aldrich minus 450. God damn. The comeback on Lipski's plus 350. Shit. That's fucking wide. Listen, I don't think either is the toughest, but I think that JJ is. Look, I like JJ's style in terms of from the southpaw stance. She's very good with her parrying game. I wanted to say she was defensively sound. I mean, she does defend at 60%, but she also absorbs more than she lands. So that's not good, but I do like her parrying game. She kind of plays it safe, mixes in the occasional takedown, this and that. And then the thing with Lipski is, when she was fighting in KSW, she was knocking out all these grandmas and these soccer moms. So a lot of us had this false impression that she was this power puncher, but she comes into the UFC and, I mean, she did knock down Mandy Bohm and Isabella de Padua, but anytime she fought anyone remotely real, I mean, she got destroyed. She got finished by Antonina Shevchenko, who even she's suspect. Got finished by Montana, who's suspect. Got knocked out by Priscilla Cachoeira, who's suspect. I was in attendance when Molly McCann gave Arianne Lipski a tour of the octagon. So, yeah, I'm not going to play JJ Aldrich at minus 450 or minus 400 just because I don't trust her either, but I trust Lipski less. And I've always thought that Queen of Fraudulence. It's too bad. She's a nice girl and I like her and this and that, but I don't like her training situation, and I just don't think she's got the heart for this. I think it's kind of a front running situation. So JJ by decision, I guess. Next up in the bantamweight division, we got a matchup between Tony Gravely, who's 23-8, taking on Victor Henry, who's 22-6. And currently, they got it Victor Henry minus 140. The comeback on Tony Gravely is plus 120. Very, very interesting fight. All right, so I want to talk to y'all about something. Y'all want to talk about numbers? Y'all already know where I'm going with this. Let's talk about numbers. Bro, that fucking fight between Victor Henry and Raoni Barcelos, did he set a record at bantamweight for most significant strikes landed by chance? Anybody know? Or does TJ Dillashaw hold that record? Because this dude Victor Henry attempted total strikes 397 and landed 222. And when you take it round by round, first round Victor Henry landed 54 significant, second round 58, third round 69, and it's the funny thing about that is, so y'all saw how I just said in round one of the Ione fight, he landed 54. That's all he landed the entire fight against Assuncao, which goes to show you, which is credit to Assuncao's ability to slow fights down to his pace. Now here with Gravely, it's interesting because Gravely is the kind of guy that, like, he's actually very, very solid everywhere. He can bang, he can wrestle. He's just kind of a guy that has mental lapses in fights, whether it was the Brett Johns fight, where I actually did bet Brett Johns, whether it was in the Nate Maness fight. I felt like he had mental lapses in those fights, and sometimes he'll be dominating fights and get caught up in chokes or whatever. And even in like the Simon Oliveira fight, like, man, those early guillotines, man, I thought that shit was a wrap. So Tony's a short, stocky, solid guy, good everywhere, just suffers from the occasional mental lapse. And with Victor Henry, the volume is insane. And I will give him credit because against Assuncao, he was trying to get off on that same volume, but Assuncao is so good at limiting exchanges and was so good at timing takedowns. And Victor Henry kind of has a bit of that catch wrestling style. I think he trains with Josh Barnett, so he is very awkward. So some of these scrambles might be very interesting between him and Tony Gravely. And I can understand why people would take the shot on Gravely here. I just don't really trust Gravely that much, but at the same time, I'm not in a rush to lay chalk on Victor, because even though he is a vet and you know, he's been around the game a long time. I mean, we're talking about a guy with 28 pro fights. He is a finished product. I still think that as far as in the UFC, he's still getting his feet wet. But I do think that on the feet, the volume is going to be there for Victor. I think the body kicks are going to be there for Vitor. I'm just not sure how these wrestling exchanges are going to go. I think that Tony can land takedowns, but I think that there are some submission threats from Victor as well. So yeah, I'm not too sure. I'm going to lean Victor Henry. Now, next up in the flyweight division, we got a matchup between Tyson Nam, he's 21-12, taking on Bruno Bulldog Silva, who's 12-5. Currently, they got it. Bruno Bulldog -210. The comeback on Tyson Nam is +179. So this is one where I was actually very surprised about the line. And the reason being is that, like, so Tyson Nam, what you got to understand about Tyson Nam is that he usually is KO or bust, right? Like, if he's not knocking you out, he's usually not going to win the decision. You know, the guy, his output is on the very low, is on the lower side. Like, it's kind of like you'll be screaming at your TV, Trevin Jones style, you know, waiting for him to finally let his hands go. The thing is, when Tyson Nam does let his hands go, he is one of the most dangerous knockout artists in flyweight history. And not just in the UFC, guys. I mean, outside the UFC, I don't know if y'all remember, but man, he's had some massive upset knockouts. Back when Eduardo Dantas, you know, this was in 2012, back when Eduardo Dantas was the Bellator champ, and he was like a big deal Bellator champ. You know, he took this fight with Tyson Nam in Chuto, Brazil, thinking it was going to be like a tune-up or, you know, showcase fight in front of his fans in Brazil, and like Nam upset him bad, knocked him out dead in a minute 40. When Nam went to Russia to fight Russians in Russia, I mean, he went in there against Ali Bagautinov, and he was losing the majority of the fight, and with 1 second left, knocks him out brutally with a head kick. Ali Bagautinov is a former UFC title contender. He fought DJ once for the belt. So Tyson Nam's power is live for all 3 rounds. It extends deep into the fight. The only issue I have with Tyson Nam is that when he does not get that knockout, he usually loses. And also, you know, he fought Matt Schnell. It was a split decision, but like, now, Matt Schnell's known for being one of the guys with the more suspect chins, and Nam didn't knock him out. So I was kind of like, man, come on, bro. Like, I know he can knock out Matt Schnell, but that's neither here nor there. What I'm trying to say is that Tyson Nam is a serious KO threat. And with Bruno Bulldog, You know, how can you not love Bruno Bulldog, man? He's exciting as hell, takes tough fights. And I feel like one thing that's really progressed about Bruno Bulldog, well, listen, he's always kind of like, he's had a heavy right hand, very, very good calf kicks, black belt in jiu-jitsu. But once he started training with Henry Cejudo and the Fight Ready guys, and he also, as far as I know, someone correct me if I'm wrong, he does his strength and conditioning program with the Neuroforce One guys. And, you know, they're the kind of guys that they know the intricate details of things that I wouldn't even know the half of. The difference in his physique, his last two fights, the difference in like kind of the fast twitch and the explosiveness. Now, granted, it was big step downs in competition, but still, like, it looked like physically, like he was really maturing a lot and was out here just running through these last two guys, how he should. But he's actually coming off, you know, a 2-year layoff. I don't know the details why, but my issue with Bruno Bulldog is that with that explosiveness, you know, with that kind of fast twitch, he is a guy that does slow down as fights progress. And, you know, slowing down against a guy like Tyson Nam, especially in this fight specifically, where Bruno Bulldog likes to bang, and Bruno Bulldog is going to be the significantly smaller man here, you know, 5'7" versus 5'4", 68-inch reach for 65-inch reach. I think that Tyson Nam is very live for a knockout here. And at plus 179 odds. I mean, what am I missing here? I guess I've addressed the fact that Tyson Nam's output is on the lower side. And if he doesn't get a knockout, chances are he loses a decision. I can accept that. I mean, that's just facts. But let's not sit here and act like Bruno Bulldog is some output machine, because he's not. And then as far as the wrestling's never been a weakness of Tyson Nam. Tyson Nam, in fact, does have in the UFC 100% takedown defense, albeit, you know, low sample size. But Tyson Nam, you know, when he loses fights, it's more so that he's just getting out volume, just kind of waiting for that one big punch, and it never comes. And, you know, we'll complain about, oh, I just ran out of time. You know, it's like one of those guys, right? But like, I don't know, man. I just kind of lined this a lot closer. Maybe even a pick 'em with a slight lean on Nam. So you know, I do think that first round that, you know, Bruno Bulldog is going to come out here and, you know, have some good moments, but I think he slows down. And someone said 39-year-old flyweight, and that's factual. I can't debate that. But Tyson Nam, he doesn't look like your average guy that's about to turn 40. And there's really been no signs of him kind of slowing down. And also that when you saw that knockout he just had against O'Day, and you saw the little celebration dance he did, that was like athletic. That was like explosive. That's like not something that a 40-year-old would usually do. So I think he's one of those rare exceptions where Tyson Nam, you know, he's kind of like a fine wine. He gets better with time. So I'm not worried about Tyson Nam's age. I'm not worried about any of that. What I'm worried about is Tyson Nam's super low output. That's what I'm worried about. But Bruno's not an output king himself. This is going to be Bruno's first cut to 125 pounds in 2 years. I think Bruno might gas after the first round. And from there, I think that Tyson might be able to land the shot that puts him out. And Bruno has been knocked out before. So Tyson has too, but Bruno more recently. So yeah, I love me some Bruno Bulldog, but you know, at a price like this, I think it's a dog or pass situation. And yeah, I'm gonna go with Tyson Nam here. Now, last but not least, let's see. Last but not least, I did not expect this until this morning. We got Carlston Harris in the welterweight division. We got Carlston Harris. He's 17-5, welcoming my friend Jared Nitrain Gooden, who's 22-8, back to the UFC. Things you love to see. Jared Gooden back in the UFC. Pretty awesome. Currently, they got it. Carlston Harris minus 260. The comeback on Jared Gooden is plus 220. So, you know, I guess people are concerned about the short notice and this and that. But I can tell you that Jared's been in the gym. Jared stays in the gym year round. Always takes short notice fights. So him, having some massive, like what do they call it? Like just like an adrenaline dump or gassing out bad or this or that. I don't see it happening. But there are other concerns I have. And also I think that there's a chance Jared, I hope I'm wrong about this, but there's probably a chance Jared misses weight for this. You took the fight on Tuesday and you have to make 170 by Friday. Like, so I would kind of wish he took a catch weight or made it a middleweight, but whatever. It is what it is. So don't be surprised if Jared misses weight here, but hopefully he got a 4-fight contract and he'll be good to go after this. But to break down this matchup, man. So what has Jared been up to since he left the UFC? So since he left the UFC, he's gone 4-1. He beat the guy that Sedriques Dumas beat, the Aaron Higba. He beat him the same way, beat him by decision. He's actually the first man in MMA history to knock out Curtis Millender. Like, so we were telling him going into that fight, like, bro, like Curtis Millender can't wrestle. Curtis Millender can't grapple. Like, just go here and take him down. And, Jared with his ego was like, I'm going to knock this guy out. And Jared didn't shoot a single takedown on Curtis Millender. And Jared knocked out Curtis Millender, which was really badass. I think his ego got ahead of him in that Impa Kasangane fight. And, he went kind of resorted back to his old ways where he was taunting, he was fighting with his hands down, he was acting like an idiot, and Impa made him pay for that. But Jared bounced back 3 months later against Doug Usher. And y'all got to watch that fight with Doug Usher, man. It's actually on my YouTube channel. So y'all hit the subscribe button, y'all hit the like button. Y'all can go, after this is over, y'all can go watch Jared Gooden versus Doug Usher. Now, granted, that was at middleweight. This fight now is going to be at 70s. And it was just a barn burner. NFC called it fight of the year. So that was pretty cool. And then a few months later, he dropped back to 70. He fought DeMarquez Jackson, who's, a respected Bellator and LFA vet. And, man, he knocked him out, and then he stomped him in the body, and it was dope. And, when you get a highlight like that, you're going to get the call back. And when you're consistently in the gym, ready for short notice fights, that's why they called Jared. So I think Jared's going to be ready. And Jared's the kind of guy that shows up on fight night, win, lose, or draw. He's going to come to fight. Jared doesn't lay eggs. Like, Jared might win or lose, but Jared's not going to lay an egg. Jared's going to fight hard. So the thing here with this guy, Carlston Harris, he's got power in both hands. He's got a nasty anaconda choke, a nasty Darce choke. He's kind of long and he's got stabbing front kicks. He's African as well. Y'all know how I feel about my African fighters. Like, you got to respect them, man. I mean, it's yeah. So I just think that this is going to be an honest fight. I'd say that the weakness on both sides is that, Carlston Harris is a bit on the chinny side. He's been knocked out more than once. And Jared's also been knocked out more than once, but historically speaking, Jared's like ultra durable. Like, y'all saw that front kick to the face that Jared ate against Randy Brown and didn't even bat an eye, right? Like, so Jared's like kind of like comically durable. But Carlston can crack. You got to give him credit. The only thing is, like, does Carlston really shoot for takedowns? It's usually dudes shooting on Carlston, and from there, he's able to lock, snatch up that Darce, snatch up that anaconda. Jared rarely shoots either. So I kind of see them standing and banging it out. And he said, bro, I don't think he's African. Hold on. Oh, you're right. He's not African. I fucked this up last time too. He's from Guyana, which is, hold on a second. I apologize for saying that he's African when he's not. South America. Hey, apologies on that, guys. So yeah, he's from Guyana. So he's South American. So that actually makes me feel a little bit better. But look, I think they're gonna bang it. I literally think that that Jared Gooden and Carlston Harris are gonna stand and bang until one man falls. Carlston's had the full camp, but Jared stays in the gym year round. So yeah, I'm gonna go, you guys. I mean, I'm biased. I'm just honest. I'm biased. Jared's been to my house before. I've been to Jared's house before. I've trained with Jared multiple times. Jared is a friend. I can call Jared on the phone right now. So I'm not going to pick against my brother. You know what I'm saying? I love that guy, win, lose, or draw. He's always been a good friend of mine. He's always had my back. But take all that stuff aside, stylistically speaking, I think these two are going to stand and bang. Joe said, motherfucker hits like he's African, though. Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, and that flag, like, I thought, yeah, no, that's my bad. So, yeah, hopefully Jared comes out here and knocks him out and gets back on track. So, yeah, you know, I'm going to pick my boy Jared Good in this one. All right. So, I'm going to talk about the fight to watch and the fighter to watch. And then I'm down to answer any fan questions after that. So, the fight to watch. Fuck, I mean, the last 3 fights are the fucking fights to watch. Y'all know that shit, man. Actually, you know what? Should we go Sedriques Dumas versus Josh Fremd just because of all the talk going on Twitter and, you know, people saying that Sedriques is the next Jamal Hill, which is just absolute absurdity. That's just so categorically false. Like where's the comparison? Like what do they do similar? Like I don't know. But either way, but what I do know is that Sedriques Dumas and Josh Fremd, there's most likely going to be a finish. If not, it's going to be a war. Like these guys are going to be desperate for a UFC win, especially Fremd. And I know that Dumas is violent. So yeah, Dumas versus Fremd is the fight to watch. Fighter to watch. I'm going to go Petr Yan, man. I mean, coming off 2 very, very disappointing losses where, you know, he thought he won. He was talking about, man, I don't want to fight in the UFC anymore. And now you got a guy, you know, in Merab who is relentless, who's got heart, who's going to come out here and attempt 100 takedowns, and he's going to push the pace. And if you're not quite feeling it anymore, Merab's the wrong guy for that. But if Petr is in top form, this is a perfect spot to get back on track and show people like, hey, I'm still a contender for this belt. Like, I want to be a 3-time world champion. So for that reason, Petr Yan is my fighter to watch. All right, y'all. Drop me a like. Hit the subscribe button. Also, when this is over, leave me a comment. And then feel free to share it. All that stuff, retweet it. All that stuff helps me out tremendously, and it's so greatly appreciated. Now, I'm going to scroll up all the way to the top of the chat. I'm going to read what y'all have been saying, and this is your last call to leave me questions here. So let's see what y'all got. My boy Tiger Bomb says, only here to steal Dan's material like Vet Lesson. I appreciate you, my boy. Infowar says, here to get winning parlay picks like Blanchfield a couple weeks ago. Cash an 8-legger. Muchas gracias. De nada, amigo. Postman Pick says, what up? What up, Postman? Brandon Blunt said, Arianne Lipski fight week. Yep. Doughboy said, do you think sometimes like this past event, we as fans overthink betting greatness, like when Jones being minus 170 or when GSP came back at minus 130? You know, yeah, that is good points. I guess just sometimes the layoffs can mess with people, you know, thinking about like, man, is he going to look the same and stuff like that. Dominic said units on units last week. Let's roll. Congrats. I'm glad you cashed out. Amish said finally made it live at work, so I took a break. Hell yeah. I appreciate that, my boy. Dominic said smash the like more times than Gone stuffs take than stuffs the takedown. Yes, please do. Liam says, Dan talking fights while I clean out my office. Perfect timing. Liam, I appreciate you, bro. You know, always good vibes, man. So thank you, bro. Dominic said, how will Yan misinterpret the rules this time? I know, man. He loves fouling, doesn't he? You just got to get Herb Dean as his rev so you can nut punt a guy twice, stick your finger all the way in his eye, only get 1 point taken away. And when your opponent's badly compromised, beat the shit out of him then. You're like, you know what I'm saying, bro? Creep said, one of the best MMA shows on YouTube. One of them. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, bro. Ghost Gardner said, pretty sure it is the best. Thank you. Let's see what else. Let's see. Dominic said Merab got chin problems. Dude was basically KO'd by Marlon. I wouldn't say it's a chin problem, man. Marlon Moraes hits hard as fuck. And if you get cracked right on the button, that's what's going to happen. Like, I don't think Ian Gary is chinny. I think that Ian Gary took a clean shot on the chin by a hard hitter. So anybody can be dropped, man. But that being said, he eats one of those against Petr Yan, and Peter's not going to fumble the bag like Marlon Moraes did. I think. Hopefully, don't land an illegal knee again, my boy. You know. Let's see. What else? What else y'all got for me? Taylor says, crazy to think Yan's entire career trajectory was altered by an illegal knee. Yeah, crazy, right? IO said, Gan should really take up Habib's offer and go to Dagestan and train hard and learn how to wrestle. Listen, I don't know if he can learn how to wrestle, but maybe he can learn how to anti-wrestle, you know, or get back up from bottom. So that's one thing. Let's see, what else y'all got? Io said, this might be a hot take, but I'm 100% confident Jailton Almeida will destroy Jones and completely embarrass him on the ground. Almeida will be champ soon enough. That is a hot take because has anyone ever dominated Jones on the ground? But yeah, Jailton Majaldinho is a bad motherfucker. So, you know what I'm saying? I'd love to see it. Let's see what else y'all got. Postman said he's intrigued to see if Merab can keep his pace for 5 rounds. I feel like he can if he avoids getting battered too much. Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair to say. Okay, my boy SD Crusader is agreeing with me. He rewatched the end sequence multiple times, the round 3 of Merab and Ricky Simone, where Merab knocks himself out on the takedown attempt and then gets swept and gets choked unconscious. Exactly. You know what you're watching, my boy. You know, like, hey, you got eyes for the game, so I appreciate you. Infowar says Yan is a superior boxer for sure, but his shelling up style will allow Merab to clinch at will. Fair, but will, you know, but from there, what happens? You know, Yan's got good trips. Yan can disengage, you know, knees, let's see, elbows. Valerie says, Mystic Dan, you predicted Valentina's fall on point. I appreciate that, man. In fairness, I said it'd be one of these next 3 fights. I wasn't sure which one it was going to be, but I did say Valentina would lose her belt in one of these next 3 fights. And that was true. And also, Liam, if you're watching, on our bold prediction show we did, I said Valentina would get dethroned this year. And I said Jamal Hill would be champ this year. So far, those have come true. But I also said the great John Jones would finally lose because I thought he was going to fight Ngannou. So that's probably not going to come true because Gan wasn't in the equation for me. Let's see what else we got. Rui said, did Yan ever face a strong wrestling challenge in the UFC besides Aljo? Probably not. Nah, but he fought Aljo twice, and Aljo, you know, I mean, come on, bro. Aljo is got to have up there with, you know, best grappling in the bantamweight division. My boy SD Crusader said, get them electrolytes. That's exactly what I'm doing. Good shit, man, in the arena. You already know, baby. Competing May 20th, I am. First time at Purple Belt. Let's see. Postman thinks Romanov round 1 sub incoming. I can see it. I mean, I bet on Aspinall, and that's what happened there. Doughboy said, prime John Jones versus prime Jamal Hill. Who you got? Fuck. That's the fight I want to see, man. Shit. I will say this. I think that, firstly, what weight class? Are we talking 205 or heavyweight? I think that Jamal Hill has better output than John Jones. I think Jamal Hill has better hands than John Jones. He's also got ridiculous IQ. It's just, and I mean, his get up game is on point, but Jones has his way of, stomping your knees and getting you to fight his game, and his ability to study your fight, to study your style in and out and know your tendencies. Man, that would be like the best fight of all time. That'd be like such a chess match and such a high IQ fight. I want to see it, bro. I want to see it. Let's see what else we got. Jimmy says he feels like an idiot for betting Brezki plus 115. Well, if you feel confident on Brezki, you can always bet him at his current line too, and let's see. Who's the dude that said it looked like I was going to the? Oh, here it is. I love baklava. I said, bro, why are you always dressed like you were headed to the club? Hey, look good, feel good, talk good, make love good, everything good. So this is just how I dress. So yeah, I like looking good, my brother. Well, at least in terms of like what I consider looking good. Other people consider other things, but this is just me. Can't be anybody but me. And Don had dressed like he's coming back from the club. You never know. Small World said, why not nobody talk about Martinez chin? I'm pretty sure I did talk about Martinez chin, and not only that, I mentioned every single time he got dropped. Let's see. I said the Pleasure Man's the best nickname. Pleasure Man, Pleasure King. I fucking love that nickname. And he's a confident, funny ass guy. He's just a little goofy, but I like him. Not in this fight, but just in general. Big Bird said Josh Mayer will be the next ATL guy in the UFC. Josh Mayer is a really nice kid. I respect him. He's the kind of guy that'll fight anyone, anytime, any place. But I don't predict him going to the UFC. I predict him more like, bare knuckle and stuff like that. But he's a nice kid, back in the day when I was managing this kid named Jamar Whitehead, who I no longer work with. We set him up with a Josh Mayer fight, got him a win there. And then Josh Mayer, I got to spar with him a couple years back. So yeah, I like Mayer. He's a really nice kid, but I don't see him going to the UFC. I see him more being like a, bare knuckle or Bellator prelim kind of guy. Ghost Gardner said dogs are the best. Dogs are the best. Holy shit. I don't know if y'all can see this. Hold on. Let me go the other way. Hold on. My boy Oscar's out for the count. Y'all see that? Oscar is out. Oscar is more out than who got knocked out last week. Oscar is he's in the shadow realm currently. We're gonna have to bring in the smelling salts. We're gonna have to bring in the stretcher for my boy Oscar. So this comment, I can't believe you're from Atlanta. I would have guessed New York, New Jersey. Like I said, I'm first generation American, so I guess the accent can be kind of hard to decipher, but I can turn on the Southern accent when the time is right. But I never really thought that I had like a Northern accent, so that's interesting. Equanimous. Raphael has Aljo on his record. Yep, I said that. This is facts. At one point he had the whole top 15 on his resume, which was the crazy part. The underdog Uzumaki says Yan will destroy Merab. Yep, possibly. I could see it. I love baklava. Hey, I love baklava too, bro. Hey, what you know about that Middle Eastern food, my boy? Yeah, listen, y'all know how to talk about that Persian food. Excuse me, y'all know how to talk about my love for Brazilian food, but y'all haven't heard me talk about my love for my Persian food. Oh my fucking god, some chicken bar, some shish kebab with some Shirazi salad, like some Persian hot tea. Yes, I fucking love my Persian food. Shout out to Rumi's Kitchen, best Persian spot in Atlanta, probably in the world, to be honest. Y'all come try it. Let's see what else y'all got for me. Anything else? Last call. Oh, my boy Marcus Williams in the house. Solid show. Thank you so much, Marcus. I appreciate you, bro. Always do. Check out the Nubian bookstore if y'all are ever in ATL. You know, gotta support the man. Got big respect for him. Ghost Garner said, didn't Tyson Am get his knee fixed finally before his last fight when he dusted O'Day? Sure did, sure did. And now I'm wondering what kind of injury Bruno Bulldog's coming back from. Harris is fighting Gooden. Sure is, sure is. Gooden is super durable. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. It's just his striking defense ain't the best, but he can he can take a shot. You know, he can take a shot. Let's see. My boy Jamal Hill's got his own strain. Yeah, Jamal Hill, the world is his right now. You love to see it. Pepe said that shirt is fire. Martinez is a great spot. Agreed on both accounts. And you know, I fuck with my boy Pepe. You know, my cousin Vinny. You know what time it is, boy. You know what time it is, my man. Yeah, about Dumas. Let the young man live. Why the cop trying to cancel him before his career start? Not over convictions, but over allegations. Yeah, I agree. Like if it was proven false, it was proven false, you know. And I heard he got jumped. I don't want to get into it. I don't know all the details, but I actually heard his interviews, and he seems like a nice kid. Like I think the thing of him charging $100 for an interview, I felt really bad that I brought that up once I heard him talk about it, because the guy that was asking for the interview was like as some people would like to refer to as 70 IQ was yeah. Anyways, he didn't charge anybody else for interviews, so I felt really bad bringing that up. Simple Man said, I love the shirt. I love you do your own thing. Thank you, man. Just got to, you know. All I can do is be me. That's it. I don't know any other way to be. Dante said, how many years did it take you to get your purple belt? I was pretty good wrestler. I've trained a bit of BJJ. We want to get back into it soon. Dante, man, you got to get back into it, especially with the wrestling background. Like a lot of these things will come naturally to you. So the thing is, what's funny is that I actually used to train no-gi grappling back in high school, but was never in the gi. I always used to have a complex about the gi. I was like, oh, I'm not gonna roll around in my pajamas and roo. But once I started, once I put my ego aside and I started training the gi, I just absolutely fell in love with it. And I love gi and I love no gi. I love them both. I think they both complement each other and they're both just very applicable. But like, there's just something badass about putting on that uniform, man. And so I was a blue belt for about 2 years. And then I got my purple belt. But you got to understand, I train very, very consistently. I'm always in the gym. I'm always trying to learn. And now we're at the point where, like, if my professor can't, make it because maybe he has to pick up his kids early or like he's out of town, he'll hit me up to like teach class for him. So it's just a massive honor. So just work hard and you'll get there, and just have a good attitude. Try to help out your teammates and try to be there for them. Just truly be a student of the game. Like truly have a passion for it. Dominic says Lebanese food. Hey, I got a great Lebanese spot, but I'm telling you, the Persian food is just on a different level. And I'm very cultured when it comes to Middle Eastern food, bro. Whether we're talking Persian food, whether we're talking Lebanese, whether we're talking Israeli, whether we're talking Palestinian, like there's all kinds of Arabic foods, like bro, like some of the best. But I think Persian is top of the top. Star Drifter says California has beautiful Persian women. I think there's beautiful Persian women all over the world, my boy. All right, last call for questions. Simple Man says, I wouldn't do BJJ. One moron gets too ambitious pulling on your neck, you could get messed up for life. Yeah, well, that's why you got to surround yourself with the right people. That's why you got to be at the right gym. That's why you don't just roll with some random dumbass that doesn't know what he's doing. You have to, like, this kind of stuff doesn't happen at my gym, knock on wood, because we like there's a culture and a standard at my gym, man. Like we're a team. We look out for each other. We're not trying to injure our teammates. We're trying to get each other better so that when we go to the competitions, the tournaments, that's where we can style on people. But at the gym, we leave our egos at the door, and the kind of respect that I have for my professor and our lineage and just everything. It's just, I'm all in. So yeah, it's just such a family vibe our team has, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. So I just think, simple man, you just need to just find the right environment for you. And if you want to move to Atlanta and come to Team Octopus and train with us, you'll be in the right hands, man, because we look after one another. Ghost Gardner, bet of the week. I mean, just wait for me to post my bets, man. I mean, they're usually, my money management is usually on point. So it's like, I'll risk like the same amount usually on each bet. So it's like not about, because sometimes I'll be like, oh, this is my most confident bet and it loses. And I'll be like, this is my least confident bet and it wins. So just put your money management on point, because at the end of the day, you don't know what's going to happen, and let the chips fall where they may. Joe Mitla said, Arabs do it better, my brother. Bet that. Listen, man. MMA Girlie said, Arab food. Yeah, I love it, man. Like I said, bro. And I believe in peace in the Middle East. I want to see my brothers in Palestine make peace with my brothers in Israel, man. And I'm not talking about no government bullshit. I'm talking about the people. I stand for the people. I don't back no bullshit governments and this and that. I back the people. And, Bilal Muhammad and I, been cool for goddamn since 2015, bro, because it's just about peace here. It's about, we're all humans. And when you can put the politics behind you and just accept that we're all human beings and we all need to look out for each other, it's just a shame what the politics and corruption can do to certain things, man. So I stand for world peace. And if you're a good person, I don't care where you come from. I don't care about any of that shit. If you're white, black, Asian, gay, straight, Arab, whatever, Muslim, Jewish, if you're a good person, you show me respect, I'll show you respect back. And I respect all these cultures and everyone else that I didn't mention as well. It's just sucks that politics and corruption have to get involved, and just the division, they divide people when, just truly unfortunate, because I dream of a day where, my last name's Levy. Bilal's last name is Muhammad. I dream of a day where our families can, sit together and have dinner together, and that's something. Yeah. I just pray for world peace. That's it. That's all I got to say regarding that. Fuck the politics, man. That's all. So be a good person, look out for one another. And jiu-jitsu is a perfect place for that, because you're going to get people from all walks of life. You're going to get rich people. You're going to get poor people. You're going to get white people. You're going to get black people. You're going to get Jewish people, Christian people, Muslim, gay, straight, whatever. As long as you're a good person, that's all that matters. We look out for each other, because at the end of the day, we're all humans. So, be better. That's it. So, guys, thank you all so much for everything, for all your support. Truly, truly appreciate it. Make sure y'all smash that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave me a comment after this is over. Feel free to share, to retweet. All those little things y'all do help the show out and help me out tremendously, and it's very appreciated. And I'm just grateful to be here talking fights with y'all and to share our passion for this sport. So thank y'all again. I haven't posted any bets yet, but when I do, y'all know exactly where to look. And thanks again. So until the next time, let's cash these bets.